I brought a Orifers Swedish glass vase. I've owned it for about 4 years. I purchased it at a thrift shop auction, and I liked it so much, I bid and I won the auction.
At first, it was simply an eye-catching find at a thrift auction admired for its unusual patterns and vivid color. Yet beneath its weight and brilliance lies a far more extraordinary story. This vase is a signed work from Orifors, created by the renowned artist Edvin Örstrom, one of the pioneers of modern Scandinavian glass design, dating from approximately 1939 to 1950. The piece belongs to the celebrated aerial technique developed by Örstrom in collaboration with Vicke Lindstrand and master glassblower Gustaf Bergqvist. The name Ariel is inspired by the airy spirit in Shakespeare's The Tempest, a fitting reference to the technique itself, which traps air within layers of glass to create internal imagery. The process is highly complex. A molten core of glass is first shaped and carved, sometimes even sandblasted, before being encased in a thick layer of clear crystal. This seals pockets of air inside, forming bubbles and suspended designs. In this example, chameleon motifs appear within the glass, an exceptionally rare and imaginative subject. The presence of aventurine, visible as shimmering green sparkles, further enhances its uniqueness. Physically, the vase is striking for its density and weight, a direct result of its thick casing. Its form, with a lower profile and solid base, is less common than other aerial pieces, adding to its desirability. The signature and coded markings confirm both authorship and production period, reinforcing its authenticity.
You want to know how well?
How well?
I think in a retail shop that this could sell for $35,000 to $45,000.
$45,000?
Yes. Examples like this from this time period, in this shape, in the form.
Okay.
This is a very special piece.
I like it even more now.
I'm not shocked.
I got it from my mother's family probably 30 years ago. I really know nothing about it.
What have you been doing with it all these years?
Sitting in a curio cabinet just so my children and grandchildren wouldn't break it because I like it. It's just unusual.
This particular example belongs to a type known as Cypriote glass, a style developed by Tiffany to imitate the appearance of ancient Roman glass vessels that had been excavated after centuries underground. The defining feature of Cypriote glass is the irregular pitted and textured surface visible across the body of the vase. Ancient glass objects often developed similar corrosion patterns after long burial when minerals and moisture in the soil reacted with the glass surface. To recreate this effect, craftsmen at Tiffany Studios rolled a gather of molten glass across crushed fragments of the same material on a marver table before reheating and blowing the piece into its final form. The process produced the distinctive rough texture that gives Cypriote glass its archaeological character. Although the technique was first introduced in the 1890s, this vase dates slightly later. The signature on the base includes a number followed by the suffix letter P, a factory notation used by Tiffany to indicate production between 1926 and 1929. Another unusual detail is the applied clear glass foot, which stabilizes the form and makes the signature easier to read. The deep red color makes the piece especially desirable since red glass was difficult to produce and highly prized by collectors.
Because people like red glass, and now you have a red Cypriot glass, which makes it even more exciting. In today's market, something like this would be $25,000 in a retail store.
Oh, Lord. Maybe I better insure it.
That's probably an excellent idea.
Sometimes the most important clue is hidden underneath. This vase is identified by a white enamel monogram, most likely JLL, linking it to J and L Lobmayer, the famous Viennese glass house. It likely dates from the early 1880s to the early 1890s, when Austrian and French makers were strongly influenced by Persian-style design. What makes this piece special is its strong Persian character. The shape follows a traditional Persian-inspired form, and the handles are decorated with elegant Persian-style patterns. The colors are rich and beautiful, giving the vase a more lively appearance than many examples that are usually more monochromatic. The most striking detail is the decoration. Instead of only flowers and geometric motifs, this vase also features giraffes and storks, which make it feel more unusual, vivid, and imaginative. This is why the piece stands out as more than decorative glass. It combines fine craftsmanship, Persian-inspired beauty, and rare animal imagery into an object that feels refined, exotic, and memorable.
The icing on the cake on this piece is the fact that instead of having just flowers and geometric designs, you have the giraffes and the storks. In a retail store, I would put a value of, conservatively, $20,000 to $30,000 on this piece.
Thank you very much.
Bought it here locally in Las Vegas about 10 years ago at a local antique store. The reason I bought it was because of the color. I paid $65 for it.
What have you found out about it over the years?
Well, I know it says Bellique on the bottom. I know there's a mark there. I know it says Fenton.
Okay.
I know Fenton is a glass company rather than a porcelain company. The mark, I think I tried looking up once upon a time in one of the little mark books. I vaguely remember that it was like from the late 1890s, and that's about all I know about it.
It began as a simple purchase, drawn in by color alone. Yet this vase reveals a far deeper story rooted in the formative years of American porcelain. What appears at first to be merely decorative is in fact a museum-quality example of Bellique-type ceramic produced by Ott and Brewer, a pioneering firm in the late 19th century. Founded in 1863 as the Etruria Pottery Company in Trenton, New Jersey, Ott and Brewer became one of the first American manufacturers to successfully replicate the Irish Bellique formula, known for its thin, translucent, eggshell-like body. By the late 1870s and early 1880s, the company reached its artistic peak, and this vase exemplifies that achievement. The base mark, often misread, features a crescent with overlapping letters O and B, confirming its origin. Visually, the vase is exceptionally rich. Its olive green ground is enhanced with gold accents and raised enamel decoration, creating a tactile, almost sculptural surface. Birds in flight reminiscent of cranes animate the upper register, while below, a tranquil waterside landscape unfolds with rocks, plants, and a small dwelling. The dolphin-shaped handles, highlighted in gold, add both movement and whimsy, while the reverse displays stylized foliage and a delicately rendered butterfly. Beyond its beauty, the vase represents a critical moment in American ceramic history when artisans sought to rival European porcelain through technical innovation and artistic ambition. Its rarity, complexity, and condition elevate it far beyond typical Bellique pieces.
This piece is good enough for any museum collection in America. This piece, we believe, at auction would sell for between $15,000 and $20,000.
You are kidding me. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I think it's a Murano glass vase. I received that from my grandfather's estate when my grandmother and grandfather passed away. My grandfather was unfortunately born into a place where he was in World War I and World War II, and He traveled extensively in the Pacific and then in Europe too. So I think he probably picked this up in Europe.
At first, it seems like a simple keepsake from a well-traveled past, a piece quietly passed down through generations. But as the light catches its surface, the vase begins to reveal a far more remarkable identity. The presence of an early paper label immediately points us to Murano, the historic center of Italian glassmaking. More specifically, it bears the name of Venini Glassworks, founded in 1921 by Paolo Venini, a figure instrumental in redefining modern Murano glass. From there, the design leads us even further toward the influential hand of Carlo Scarpa, one of the most celebrated designers to work with Venini during the 1930s and 1940s. The vase exemplifies the technique known as sommerso, a bollicine characterized by its layered glass structure, filled with tiny suspended bubbles that create a soft, almost frothy visual effect. Subtle gold inclusions shimmer within the form, enhancing its depth and luminosity. This interplay of texture and light is a hallmark of Scarpa's early work, where architectural precision meets artistic experimentation. Dating likely to the 1930s, this piece belongs to an important formative period in Scarpa's career when he was pioneering new aesthetics in glass design. Often compared to Frank Lloyd Wright for his visionary approach, Scarpa brought a refined modernism to Murano that continues to influence design today.
I think a good auction estimate would be 15 to 20,000.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this really is a very nice piece of 20th century glass.
Thank you. That's great. We love it. We really appreciate it.
About a year and a half ago, I was driving in the morning. I left to get a cup of coffee and I saw a sign for a garage sale. It was about 7:30 in the morning. The lady was still unpacking some of the boxes. She was taking out this taller piece and I directly was attracted to it, the form and the color. I knew it was something special. And I asked her how much she wants for it and she said $50. And she told me I have 2 other pieces if you're interested. And she pulled out those other 2 pieces. Now, I didn't have enough cash with me.
A quick stop at a quiet garage sale, and suddenly, 3 shimmering forms emerge from a box, their colors catching the morning light in a way that feels anything but ordinary. What seemed like an instinctive purchase soon reveals a remarkable connection to 2 major names in the history of art glass. The tallest vase is an authentic work by Louis Comfort Tiffany, created by the Tiffany Glass and Decorating Company around 1898 to 1900. Known as the Egyptian onion form, its rounded base rises like a bulb before narrowing into an elegant neck reflecting Tiffany's fascination with ancient glass shapes. The iridescent surface, rich with shifting tones, is achieved through complex techniques that define the Art Nouveau style. Its condition is exceptional, free from the mineral residue often seen in similar pieces, which significantly enhances its desirability. The 2 accompanying vases, though visually similar, originate from Loett's, an Austrian firm active in the early 20th century. Likely produced between 1905 and 1910, they display the same iridescent finish and fluid organic decoration typical of the period. One features deep blue tones with abstract motifs that resemble lily pads or natural forms, while the other presents a pinched shape with consistent flowing coloration. Their lack of signatures suggests they were intended for local markets rather than export.
This thing is pristine. It's absolutely perfect. And in a retail venue, this would sell between $6,000 and $8,000.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm shocked.
The total for the 3 vases in a retail venue would be $10,500 to $15,000.
Wow. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. $150 investment.
It's remarkable. And
wow.
You're really good at finding good bargains.
Probably I need to start looking more often. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I went to an antique show in Dallas, and across the room I hear, "I'm over here, Peggy," and there it was.
So it talked to you.
It talked to me, and it had a light under it on a stand, and I thought it was the most beautiful vase I had ever seen.
And did you buy it when you first saw it?
No, they said it wasn't for sale.
That's not nice.
I told them, I said, "What's it here for?"
So how did you get it?
Well, I said, "If you ever decide to sell it, would you call me?" And I gave them my name and phone number.
Some objects do not simply catch the eye, they seem to call out, waiting for the right moment to be claimed. This vase is one of them, first glimpsed across a crowded antique show, then pursued for years before finally finding its way home. What began as intuition reveals itself as a masterwork of French Art Nouveau glass created by Dame Nancy around 1900. Founded by the Daume brothers in the city of Nancy, France, the workshop stood alongside Émile Gallet as one of the leading forces in Art Nouveau glass. The signature, often rendered in gilt with the Cross of Lorraine, confirms its origin and ties it directly to this celebrated artistic movement. The vase itself is richly decorated with violet flowers, a motif favored during the period for its natural elegance. The surface is created through acid etching, carving delicate forms into the glass before applying enamel that is then kiln-fired, fusing permanently with the surface. This layered technique produces both depth and durability. What sets this piece apart, however, is the lower section, where engraved and gilded decoration introduces grasshoppers and stylized patterns inspired by Egyptian art. Such elements reflect the fascination with ancient cultures that influenced design at the turn of the 20th century.
Do you have any idea what it's worth now?
No, it's worth a lot to me because I love it, so.
Well, besides being worth a lot to you, I would put a retail value of probably in the $15,000 range.
Great. That's great.
This vase has been in our family for over 100 years. It was given to my grandmother for her wedding gift, and I've held it and admired it since I was a little girl.
Do you know when your grandmother got married?
Probably around, I believe, like 1918.
Good.
For over a century, this vase has quietly witnessed the passage of generations, treasured first as a wedding gift and later as a cherished family heirloom. Its story begins around 1918, a date that aligns perfectly with its origin at Steuben Glassworks in Corning, New York, under the artistic direction of Frederick Carter. This example belongs to the celebrated Tyrone or Tyrian line introduced circa 1916. The name evokes the imperial purple dyes of ancient Tyre, historically associated with royalty. Interestingly, while one might expect a deep purple tone, many of these vases, including this one, reveal more subtle greenish undertones beneath their rich, opaque surface. This nuanced coloration is a hallmark of Carter's experimental approach to glass chemistry and aesthetics. The vase's provenance is further strengthened by a surviving retailer's label from Whitmore, a prestigious art goods store in Omaha, Nebraska, known for distributing high-quality decorative objects in the early 20th century. Such documentation not only anchors the piece geographically, but also enhances its historical narrative. Technically, the vase exemplifies Steuben's mastery of colored glass during Carter's tenure with a smooth yet dense surface that conveys both weight and refinement. However, slight surface disturbance from prior use, likely due to prolonged contact with water, has modestly impacted its condition, a detail that collectors carefully consider.
And so for people who collect Steuben, that does matter.
Okay.
I would say a retail value, given its condition, between $10,000 and $12,000.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I would have never guessed that whatsoever. Oh my goodness.
Now, if it had been in perfect condition, I would have said $15,000.
Oh my goodness.
It's been in my mother's family, and I inherited when she died in 2005. And it was not valued very highly for her estate purposes, and it was just something I loved and selected, and my daughter kept saying, I think it's something very interesting.
Sometimes the biggest surprise in a family object is hidden in the place no one thinks to look. This vase was long treated as an ordinary heirloom until the mark on the bottom finally revealed its true identity. It is a piece by Dom Nancy, the French glassmaker, known for Art Nouveau designs inspired by nature. Active from the late 19th century and widely admired in the early 20th century, this example is described as dating to around 1919 and shows many of the qualities that made Daume so respected. The decoration centers on a wheat and poppy pattern in polychrome enamel, while the lower part is surrounded by irises. The gilded work adds richness, and the colors inside the vase come from a layered glass process using several colors to create depth and a glowing interior effect. The slight flare of the form gives the piece extra elegance without taking attention away from the decoration. What makes the vase so memorable is the way every detail supports the same natural vision. The flowers, the gilding, and the layered color all work together to make the glass feel almost alive. It is not just a decorative vase, but a carefully crafted Art Nouveau work that turns nature into color, light, and ornament.
I would say that if this were in a real fine antique show, you would see it for approximately $8,000.
Now that's just amazing. Wow. Well, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
A
little bit better than that.
A few $100.
appraisal.
Yes. I'm absolutely stunned.
"45 years ago, my wife and I saw an ad for an estate sale. And the family turned out to be an old-line Minneapolis, Minnesota family. And we went into the house, and my wife noticed this vase. It didn't have a tag on it, and I spoke to the man that was handling the sale.
This vase was made by the Mount Washington Company, a prominent American art glass manufacturer based in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Despite being referred to as a vase, the form is actually closer to a decorative ewer, recognizable by its elegant body rope style handle and cup-shaped pouring lip. The piece belongs to the Royal Flemish line, a luxurious style introduced and patented around 1894 by Mount Washington Glass Company. Royal Flemish glass was created to imitate the rich appearance of stained glass windows. Craftsmen achieved this effect by applying colorful enamel decoration and elaborate gilding over the surface of the glass. The design on this example includes a heraldic shield resembling a coat of arms painted in gold and surrounded by ornate enamel details. Such heraldic imagery was commonly used in Royal Flemish pieces and often gives them a distinctly European character. Technically, the decoration required skilled handwork. Enamel colors and gold were carefully painted onto the glass and then fired in a kiln, so the decoration fused permanently with the surface. Many pieces from this line were not signed, so identification usually relies on the form decorative style and production techniques.
When you have a little damage, and fortunately the damage is on the foot rim Today, for retail, this would be $6,000 to $8,000.
Oh my God, really? $6,000 to $8,000? Oh.
Yes.
Wait till my wife hears that. Okay.
My mother-in-law gave it to me for Christmas of 95 or 96. We were living in Colorado at the time. She carried it out on a plane, and when I opened it on Christmas Day, there was a note with it that just said, "I think this might be good." Other than that, she just smiled. She got this little smile on her face. They had never told me anything else about it. And unfortunately, she died in 1998, so there's no way I can ask her anything about this now.
Some gifts arrive quietly carrying secrets their givers never fully explain, and this vase is one of them. Presented on a Christmas morning in the mid-1990s, with nothing more than a knowing smile, it would take years before its true identity came to light. The piece is a rare picture by Émile Gallé, one of the most influential figures of the Art Nouveau movement created in France around 1884 during his early artistic period. Gallé was celebrated for combining technical innovation with poetic nature, inspired design, and this work already shows the ambition that defined his career. The form is that of a galley pitcher elevated by elaborate fired enamel decoration. At its center is a striking cartouche depicting a fully armored knight on horseback rendered with remarkable detail. Surrounding this is an intricate Persian-inspired motif demonstrating the 19th century fascination with exotic and historical themes. The craftsmanship is exceptional. The enameling is kiln-fired, ensuring both durability and richness of color, and the piece bears the full Gallé France Déposé mark, confirming its authenticity. Comparable in spirit to works by leading European glassmakers such as Lobmeyer, this example stands firmly within the highest tier of decorative glass. Equally remarkable is its condition, having survived decades with minimal wear despite being displayed in an unexpected setting. Its preservation allows the artistry and narrative to remain fully intact.
Well, it's worth $8,000 to $10,000 retail.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. It's a wonderful piece.
I can't believe this. I mean,
I'm just thrilled for you. Thrilled for you.
I really, really can't believe it. Guess it won't stay in the bathroom anymore.
This is a vase of my great aunt's from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. It was always one of my favorite things, and she wanted me to have it. Eventually, after I got out of college and my parents decided I was stable enough to keep it, they let me take it, with me. And it's a Tiffany vase, is what I was always told.
For years, it was treasured as a Tiffany. A glowing orange vase passed down through family hands, its story reinforced by memory and a carefully kept letter. Yet, as the light shifts across its iridescent surface, a different narrative begins to emerge, one just as compelling. This vase, long believed to be by Louis Comfort Tiffany, is in fact a striking example of early 20th century art glass produced by Loewitz, created around 1900 to 1905. During the height of the Art Nouveau movement, the piece reflects a period when Loewitz, then operating within the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was at the forefront of innovative glassmaking. Often compared to Tiffany, Loewitz developed its own distinctive approach to iridescent surfaces known as phénomène, characterized by luminous color shifts and fluid organic patterning. The vase takes on what is often described as a lotus flower form. Its body rises in a sculptural bloom, with subtle green leaf-like elements supporting the vibrant orange glass above. Unlike typical Tiffany floral designs, which tend to emphasize elongated stems and more restrained structure, This piece is more sculptural and expressive, giving it a dynamic presence. The surface shimmers with layered iridescence, capturing and refracting light in a way that enhances its depth and movement. Though unsigned, the stylistic elements are unmistakable. The form coloration and decorative technique firmly place it within Letz's most celebrated period. Historically, Letz and Tiffany worked almost simultaneously, and their visual similarities often lead to misattributions, making pieces like this especially intriguing.
This is not Fabril?
It is not Fabril glass.
Okay.
It is iridescent glass, but it's Lotz's interpretation of it.
Gotcha.
And in a retail shop, it would be between $8,000 and $10,000.
Wow, that's great.
So, not a bad thing, by any means.
Well, good.
This vase has been in my mother's family. She was from upstate New York. It was her mother's, and my mother died 5 years ago at age 90, and she left this to me.
At first glance, the vase glows with a deep, tranquil blue. But as light shifts across its surface, a hidden seascape slowly comes to life. This striking work is an authentic Steuben acid cutback vase created in the early 20th century under the direction of Frederick Carter, a pioneering figure in American art glass. Produced at Steuben Glassworks in Corning, New York, the vase dates from around 1925 to the 1930s, a period when Carter was experimenting with both color and technique. The piece is crafted in blue orine over dark blue, achieved by adding cobalt to the glass, resulting in a rich, luminous tone. Using the acid cutback process, layers of glass were carefully removed to reveal a detailed marine scene. At the base, waves gently rise, while fish swim below and seabirds glide above, forming a continuous and immersive composition. What distinguishes this vase is its rare monochromatic palette. Blue-on-blue examples are far less common than multicolored versions, making this piece particularly desirable among collectors. The hand-etched marking on the base, reading Steuben and Oran, may appear crude, but is entirely consistent with authentic factory marks of the period.
The blue on blue is extremely hard to find. Usually there'll be different colors. This is a rare piece. I would say that in today's market, we're probably looking at, in an auction, $6,000 to $8,000. If you wanted to insure it, you would insure it at the higher end of that amount.
This is a Lalique, signed Lalique vase that was originally with my grandmother. And the story is that my grandmother was decluttering the house and decided that she didn't want this any longer, so she was going to give it to Goodwill. And my mother came to her house and said, "What do you have in this box?" And my grandmother, Ricolta Granny, said, "You know, these are things I'm just giving away." And Mom looked and she says, "Yeah, could I have that, please?" And so it went to my mom. My mom knew that it was a signed Lalique and knew that there was value. But beyond that, that's all I really know about it.
It is often the objects set aside without a second thought that carry the most remarkable stories, and this vase is one such rediscovery. Once nearly given away, it is in fact a signed work by René Lalique, created by Lalique, and known as the Bouchardon model, first introduced in 1926. The name, while not immediately descriptive, is believed to reference the 18th century sculptor Edme Bouchardon, whose classical influence is evident in the design. Encircling the vase are elegantly modeled female figures holding festoons of flowers, their poses combining classical balance with the stylized refinement of Art Deco. The composition is both sculptural and rhythmic, transforming the vase into a narrative object rather than a purely decorative one. Rendered in a smoky topaz tone or fumé in French, the glass possesses a warm translucency that enhances the interplay of light across its surface. Technically, the piece demonstrates Lalique's mastery cast in multiple sections and assembled to achieve depth and articulation. The presence of both a molded and engraved signature on the base confirms its authenticity.
So I would, because I'm conservative, I would say I would put a retail value, because sometimes auction and retail can be very similar.
Yes.
So I would say probably between $6,000 and $8,000 in a retail store.
I'm upping my insurance. That's fantastic.
They're two Gallet vases from France. I got them from my mother. She and my dad bought them in the early 50s.
Do you know anything more about them other than that?
It's cameo glass. I believe that they're blown from the bottom up.
What makes these vases so striking is not just their beauty, but the fact that they have survived together as a pair. They are French Gallet vases made in Nancy before 1904 during the lifetime of Émile Gallet, one of the most influential figures of the French Art Nouveau movement. That detail makes them especially interesting. They are cameo glass vases with a fire-polished surface, meaning the glass was reheated to create a smooth, glossy finish across the exterior. The floral decoration reflects Gallet's deep love of nature, since he often modeled his designs on local plants and flowers from the Nancy region. Here the forms are simple and elegant, but the color is wonderfully alive, shifting from red to a softer tone, with slight variation even between the two vases. That difference in color at the top is not a flaw, but part of the natural variation in the layered glass itself. What makes the pair especially memorable is their quiet balance. They are refined rather than flashy, and their charm comes from the harmony between floral design, soft color changes, and the glowing, polished surface. Seen together, they feel even more unusual because matching pairs like this are far less common than single Gallet vases.
Do you have any idea of what their value is?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I think that a safe conservative auction estimate for the pair would be $4,000 to $6,000.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they,
Well, that's-
again, they're very nice pieces of glass, and it's a pleasure to see them.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was purchased in New York by my stepfather's father, and it's been in the family ever since, and really that's all I know.
Well, who do you think made the vase?
I'm hoping it's Tiffany. That's the family story, but I don't know because it isn't signed.
At first, the vase carries a familiar story, one that confidently points to Tiffany & Company. Its shimmering surface and elegant presence seem to support that belief. But as the examination begins, that assumption quickly gives way to a more precise and equally compelling attribution. Although unsigned, the vase reveals its true origin through technical and stylistic clues. It was, in fact, made by Luetz Glass, a highly respected Austrian manufacturer working at the same time as Tiffany. The confusion is understandable, as both companies produced iridescent art glass with flowing lines and organic decoration. Looking closely, the color and surface treatment point to a specific Luetz decorative style known as the Phänomen series. The subtle sawtooth-like lines combined with soft swirling patterns and a luminous iridescent finish are characteristic features of this technique. Just as importantly, the shape tells its own story. The elongated lozenge form is not typical of Tiffany, but aligns strongly with Luetz design, requiring greater skill in both shaping and finishing. Turning the vase over the ground pontil mark on the base provides further confirmation. This detail, often overlooked, is a key indicator of Luetz production methods. While certain visual elements may resemble Tiffany, the overall combination of form decoration and craftsmanship firmly identifies the piece as Louette's.
But other than that, everything else of it speaks to Lowe's. If this were sold in a retail shop, it would sell for at least $6,000.
Wow.
It's a vase or vase.
Yeah, I would call it a vase.
Okay.
Do you know where it was made?
I have no idea about this.
Would you like to guess?
I thought it looked Asianish.
At first glance, its soft, glowing tones seem to whisper of distant Eastern origins. Yet the true story of this vase unfolds as a remarkable blend of innovation and cross-cultural influence in the late 19th century. Produced by Thomas Webb and Sons in England during the late 1880s, this piece belongs to the celebrated category of Burmese glass, a material first developed in America by Frederick Shirley at the Mount Washington Glass Company in 1881 and patented in 1885 before being licensed abroad. Burmese glass is distinguished by its translucent body and its subtle color, a transition shifting seamlessly from a warm salmon pink at the base to a soft lemon yellow toward the rim. This effect was achieved through the careful addition of elements such as gold and uranium oxide requiring precise control during the glassblowing process. The vase itself is hand-blown, evidenced by a finely ground pontil mark on the base, a key indicator of authenticity for Webb's production. What truly elevates the piece is its decoration. Delicate chrysanthemums in various stages of bloom, paired with a gracefully rendered butterfly, reflect strong Japanese and Chinese artistic influences that were highly fashionable at the time. The gilded outlines, embellished collar, and even the decorated foot demonstrate a level of craftsmanship that suggests multiple artisans were involved. Remarkably, the original retailer's label from Phillips of Oxford Street in London still survives, adding a rare layer of provenance.
And where did you get this?
I got it from my mother.
Okay.
And I believe she got it from her mother.
Okay. And she never discussed it?
I know nothing about it.
Well, something like this, a retail value of this vase would be between $4,000 and $5,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
I've brought a vase that we refer to as the Tiffany vase. It's been in my husband's family for a number of years. We're not exactly sure who had it, but it is reputed to be Tiffany.
At first glance, this vase easily brings Tiffany to mind, especially with its glowing, iridescent surface. But the real story behind it is a little different, and that is what makes it so interesting. This is an early 20th century Bohemian art glass vase connected to Louette's, one of the most admired glassmakers of that period. The body of the vase is simple in shape, clean, direct, and beautifully colored in an iridescent green tone. That quiet form gives the decoration more room to shine. According to the dialogue, the glass was made in Bohemia and later came to America, where an American silversmith added the silver overlay. This silver work is the true highlight of the piece. The floral decoration is especially beautiful, and the large flowing drops create a rich and dramatic effect that makes the vase feel more luxurious and expressive. What makes this object memorable is the balance between simplicity and ornament. The glass itself is restrained and elegant, while the silver adds movement, texture, and character. Even without a visible mark, the craftsmanship speaks for itself. This is not just a beautiful vase, but a refined work of art that brings together Bohemian glass and American silver in a very striking way.
The floral work on this is just gorgeous, and these big drops are just outstanding.
I love those.
This just is a gorgeous vase.
Thank you.
I think an easy conservative auction estimate would be $3,000 to $5,000.
I had no idea.
I think it's Art Nouveau by the Quetzal Company. They were in the same time as Tiffany, but other than that, I don't really know anything about it.
Okay, and how did you get it?
It belonged to the artist Florence E. Ware, who was a very good friend of my mother, and she gave it to my mother, and then my mother gave it to me.
Shimmering with iridescent hues that shift between blue and violet, this vase immediately evokes the elegance and innovation of the Art Nouveau era. Its surface seems alive with light echoing the natural brilliance that inspired some of the most celebrated glassmakers of the early 20th century. The piece is attributed to Quetzal Art Glass Company, a firm founded in 1901 by former members of Tiffany Studios. Among them were Martin Bach Sr., who brought with him deep knowledge of glass formulas and coloration, and Thomas Johnson, a skilled gaffer responsible for executing complex forms. Together, they created glass that rivaled Tiffany in both technique and beauty. The name Quetzal itself was inspired by the brilliantly colored Central American quetzal bird, reflected in the vase's luminous, iridescent finish. This example stands out as a true vase form, enhanced by an elegant triple-hooked rim and delicate feather-like decoration along the lower body. Its coloration blending cool blues and purples, rather than the more typical gold and green tones, adds a distinctive and refreshing variation within the company's production. A finely engraved signature on the base, including a caprifix, dates the piece to around 1910. Collectors often associate such markings, especially when accompanied by subtle decorative flourishes, with higher quality examples produced by the firm.
I would say in a retail setting, I would place the value between $2,500 and $3,500.
Really?
Now, there is one little catch here. What I noticed is there is some scratching on the surface. And the Quetzal collectors are very fussy about their condition. It's not a crack, it's not a chip, but nevertheless, it does disturb the decoration. If that weren't there, I would have been more inclined to say $3,000 to $5,000.
I see. Okay. Well,
Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you very much.
Well, my father acquired it in the 40s. I grew up in New Jersey, and that's where we lived, and he and my mom were big antiquers. Frequently, I and my sister were dragged along, and he bought it at an antique store, probably, I would guess, in the late 40s.
Well, this glass is made by Schneider, a reference to the French firm Charles Schneider Glassworks, one of the notable producers of Art Deco glass in the early 20th century. The Schneider brothers originally worked at the renowned Daum Glassworks before establishing their own studio and developing a distinctive style of decorative glass. During World War I, their workshop temporarily stopped producing art glass and instead manufactured glassware for hospitals, resuming artistic production after the war. This particular vase is what collectors would describe as a monumental piece measuring about 33 inches tall. Its bold Art Deco form is combined with vibrant colors, especially the striking orange and yellow tones rising from a deep blue base. The glass surface also shows a subtle pattern of circular inclusions that resembles what collectors often call a Cluthra effect, giving the body of the vase added visual texture and depth. The overall design reflects the clean sculptural aesthetic typical of the Art Deco period, and pieces like this were produced by Schneider around 1930. Although the rim shows a very small nick, sometimes called a flea bite, it is extremely minor and can be carefully polished by a professional restorer.
It will always hurt it a little tiny bit for the tiny chip. But I would put this in a value range for insurance of $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
My great-great-grandfather brought it from Europe, we think Italy or Austria, and my grandmother has had it all the years until she passed away with my mother having it, and now it's mine. It was always so special. My grandmother built a special gold cabinet. In fact, she's dancing in heaven today with us filming this because this was a real prize for her.
The first thing that stands out about this piece is its monumental scale. A vase standing about 22 inches tall and richly covered with heavy gilt gold decoration and enamel flowers. The deep emerald green body immediately draws attention, especially where small window-like panels allow light to pass through the glass, creating a luminous contrast with the surrounding gilded surface. These emerald windows and the elaborate floral ornamentation give the vase a luxurious presence that was intended to impress when displayed. Looking closely at the style and technique, the piece can be associated with the work of Moser Glassworks, one of the most respected producers of decorative glass in Europe. The company, based in what is now the Czech Republic, became famous for richly colored glass, enhanced with elaborate gilding and enamel decoration. The raised enamel flowers covering the entire surface are particularly important for dating the piece. Earlier Moser glass from the 1880s often featured flatter decoration, while later pieces from the mid-20th century tended to use larger floral elements with less gilding. This vase falls stylistically between those periods, combining dense gold decoration with small raised flowers, which suggests a production date around 1910.
It came up for sale very recently at one of the major auctions. So that even adds to the value of the piece. I would estimate this at auction for $3,500 to $4,500.
Great. That's super. It's nice to know.
I brought a piece of Murano glass. My father was a security salesman in Portland, Oregon, and occasionally some of his clients would give him a gift as a thank you for the work he was doing, and this was a piece that they gave to him.
Well, it is a piece of art glass, and it was made by the Venetian firm Venini Glassworks, originally established as Cappellin Venini on the island of Murano near Venice, a place famous for centuries of glassmaking tradition. This form is known as the Veronese vase, a design created in 1921 by the Italian artist Vittorio Zecchin, who served as the first artistic director of the company. Zecchin drew inspiration from Renaissance painting, particularly works associated with Paolo Veronese, where similar vessel shapes appear in depictions such as the Annunciation. The elegant elongated body and softly flaring rim reflect Zecchin's aim to revive the purity and simplicity of early Venetian glass forms. The design was first presented publicly in 1922 at the Autumn Salon in Paris and soon became one of the signature forms associated with Venini. The example here was likely produced between 1925 and 1935. One key indicator is the mark on the underside reading Venini Murano in a two-line signature, which predates the three-line marks commonly used after the 1950s. Subtle irregularities in the glass, including faint threads and small imperfections, also suggest an earlier hand-blown example rather than a later, more standardized production.
And the colors are almost an opaline. So in terms of value, I would put a retail value on this piece of $3,000 to $4,000.
Oh. That's great. Yeah, super.
This piece belongs, my husband's side of the family, it belonged to his great-grandfather.
Okay.
And I'm told that he used it to store his cigars. He lived in the Midwest, and it's been passed on ever since.
Well, it is a biscuit jar not originally intended as a cigar, or box at all. The piece was produced by the American firm Mount Washington Glass Company of New Bedford, Massachusetts, and it dates to around 1894. When the lid is removed, the mark MW can be seen inside, which confirms its connection to the Mount Washington factory. At the end of the 19th century, this company was known for producing some of the most elaborate decorative glass in America, and this example belongs to their prestigious Royal Flemish line. As you look closely at the body of the jar, you can see a very European style of decoration. On the front, there is a striking griffin or dragon figure, a mythological motif often associated with heraldry and medieval imagery. As the piece turns, the surface is filled with richly colored Gothic arches, rendered in detailed enamel work, creating a decorative rhythm all around the vessel. Originally, the metal mount and lid would have been silver-plated, giving the jar a bright, reflective surface, although much of that plating has naturally worn away over time.
But it's a lovely piece. Have you ever had it valued before?
I have not.
Okay, well, at auction, it would be $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
That is great. They'll be thrilled.
good.
I might have to use it as a biscuit jar.
You
Yeah,
might.
in my kitchen, right.
Clean it real well first.
Right. Yeah.
We call it the green bowl because we don't know anything else about it. It was a gift from a friend who's, I apologized for giving her age on national TV, but she's 82 and she knew that I liked all things Chinese and brought it to me and said I should have it.
It may look like a treasure from China at first glance with its jade green hue and delicate chrysanthemum design, but its true origin tells a different story. This striking piece is actually an example of early 20th century American art glass produced by Steuben Glass Works in Corning, New York during the renowned era of Frederick Carter in the late 1920s. Carter was celebrated for blending global artistic influences into innovative glass designs, and this vase reflects that vision. While the chrysanthemum motif evokes East Asian aesthetics, it was intentionally adapted for Western audiences. Technically, the piece is an acid-cut jade green glass vase created using a layered technique. 2 layers of glass are fused, and the upper layer is carefully removed with acid to form the raised floral pattern, giving the surface depth and texture. The vase is notably heavy, indicating high-quality production, a hallmark of Steuben craftsmanship. Although it is unsigned, archival records identify it as shape number 6078, described as carved, confirming the acid-cut method. This combination of artistic influence and technical precision makes it a strong example of American glass innovation during that period.
It's a beautiful example of what they were doing in the 1920s, and today in a retail shop, this would sell for between $3,000 and $3,500.
Wow.
So it's a very nice gift.
Yes, it was.
What have you brought with you?
A Lalique vase.
Where did you get it?
We got it from a friend. It was a friend who passed away, unfortunately, in 1980 or so. And she went to New York City to model and missed her family, so she came back to Minneapolis to be with her family, and they were friends of the Kellogg's.
and that was a gift to her from the Kellogg.
Not every elegant object reveals its importance at first glance, yet this vase quietly carries the legacy of one of the greatest names in decorative glass. Identified as the Espalion model, it was first introduced in 1927 by René Lalique, whose work bridged the worlds of fine jewelry and artistic glassmaking. Produced by Lalique, the vase reflects a moment when Lalique had fully embraced glass as his primary medium. Its design features a graceful fern motif, softly sculpted in frosted relief against a luminous blue body. The contrast between the satin-like matte surface and the transparent glass beneath creates a gentle diffusion of light, giving the piece a sense of depth and quiet movement. The base bears the signature R. Lalique, along with factory marks confirming its authenticity. The blue coloration further enhances its desirability, as colored examples are typically more sought after than clear versions. The Espalion design itself embodies a refined balance between natural inspiration and the emerging aesthetics of the Art Deco period. Condition, however, remains a crucial factor. There is some uncertainty regarding whether the rim has been lightly polished, possibly to remove minor chips. If such alteration has occurred, it would significantly affect the value as collectors place great importance on original surfaces.
This vase in blue has sold at auction as much as $5,000.
Really?
$5,000.
Okay.
However, if in fact the rim has been buffed a little bit, that would diminish the value.
Right.
In order to ascertain whether it had been buffed, I'd want to check it against the Catalogue Raisonné of Lalique's work to see how heavy that lip was and or if it's diminished. If it has been diminished, that would diminish the value by at least half.
I brought a vase that my mother gave me over 25 years ago because she didn't like it. And I love glass, and I always liked it. And I said to her, I think this could be something, but I never found any markings on it. When my great aunt died, there was a list. It's called a 1929 insurance schedule, and it listed a Favril vase. And my mom said, I don't like it. It's ugly. Take it. So I took it, and I've had it for years, and I have absolutely no idea.
This vase may appear mysterious at first, especially since it carries no signature, but its characteristics clearly point to the work of the Bohemian glassmaker Loetz. Active in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Loetz became internationally recognized for producing luminous, iridescent glass that rivaled the creations of Tiffany Studios. Because both makers worked in similar styles during the same period, Loetz vases are often mistaken for Tiffany glass. This particular piece dates to around 1910 to 1915 and represents a striking example of Loetz's iridescent decorative glass. The vase features an elegant and somewhat unusual form, enhanced by beautifully shaped handles and delicate decorative threads running through the glass. The surface shimmers with metallic tones, and the gilded accents further enrich the design, creating the glowing effect collectors admire in Loetz works. The decoration and coloration help identify its origin, as these patterns and the use of iridescent glass are typical of Loetz production from the early 20th century. While many collectors expect such pieces to be signed, a large number of Loetz objects were left unmarked, which often leads to confusion and misidentification.
It's something that we would associate with the Loetz.
Okay.
At auction today, I would estimate this to sell at between $2,000 and $3,000.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. My mother won't like that, but that's great. It's been a mystery for over 40 years. It's nice to have the mystery solved.
I'm an avid flea market and estate sailor, and I went into an estate sale and I saw this vase and I was kind of attracted to it, and I picked it up and it was so heavy, and then I looked at the bottom and I saw an etching on it. I couldn't really completely make it out, and it was priced at $40, and I thought, well, this is pretty monumental, a good sized piece. I think I'll get it.
At first glance, the vase commands attention through its impressive weight and softly luminous presence, suggesting a level of craftsmanship far beyond the ordinary. Its semi-translucent body, infused with delicate internal patterns, immediately signals a more experimental approach to early 20th century glassmaking. Closer examination reveals an etched mark on the base, identifying the piece as a work of Steuben Glass Works, a leading name in American art glass. Unlike the company's more familiar clear crystal, this example belongs to the rare Cluthra line produced between 1915 and 1933. The technique involves fusing reactive materials between layers of glass, creating soft, suspended formations within the vessel, often described as resembling a sunny side-up effect. The subtle lavender hue enhances this internal depth, while the overall form, likely corresponding to a catalogued shape, reflects a balance between sculptural mass and refined proportion. The presence of the fleur-de-lis mark further confirms authenticity, and notably, signed examples are uncommon, adding to its desirability.
So this $40 shopping trip, this was an estate sale in Seattle.
Correct. And it wasn't one of yours.
So this particular piece today would be worth about $2,500.
Get out.
And that would be for insurance.
Wow.
So your $40 was amazing.
That was a good investment.
That was a good investment.
Wow.
I have brought a piece of glasswork that was given to my mother by Dale Chihuly, I think back in about 1965. I was raised in Madison, Wisconsin.
Before the world knew Dale Chihuly as a giant of contemporary glass, he was simply a young artist coming to Sunday dinner full of energy, talent, and promise. That is what makes this piece so compelling. It is not just a glass object. It feels like a glimpse into the very beginning of a major artistic journey. This work belongs to the early stage of Chihuly's career, around 1965, when he was connected with the University of Wisconsin in Madison and was helping shape the environment where glassblowing was beginning to take hold there. That moment matters because early works like this still carry the hand of the artist very directly. The piece is asymmetrical with visible trails pinching and a sense of experimentation that lets you almost see the making process frozen in glass. It does not yet have the grand scale of the later Chihuly world. Instead, it shows an artist testing form movement and energy in a much more immediate way. What makes the object especially meaningful is that it reflects the phase before Chihuly became known for directing large teams. In later years, after serious injuries changed the way he worked, he became more like a choreographer, guiding other glassblowers in bringing his vision to life. But an early piece like this still feels close to the furnace, close to the breath, and close to the physical act of shaping hot glass by hand. That is why it has such appeal. It is not only an artwork, but also a record of process ambition and the emergence of a modern master.
It was probably an experimental piece at the time, and a lot of those got chunked out at auction today. I would estimate it at $2,000 to $3,000.
I'm amazed. That's very surprising.
I would write to his studio.
Okay.
And just kind of introduce yourself, confirming do you remember me? Do you remember this piece? Send a picture of the piece and see if his studio will confirm the piece.
Okay.
Everybody else will know, and keep that piece of paper with it.
Okay,
for
sounds
always.
really good.
I have a red vase that I purchased at a thrift shop for $50.
And was that recently?
It was about 3 years ago.
Glowing with a deep, almost molten red when touched by light, this vase immediately captivates the eye with its rich color and expressive surface. Its sculptural form and textured patterns suggest a contemporary hand rather than a traditional factory origin. The piece is the work of Romanian glass artist Ioan Nemtoi, known for his bold use of color and experimental techniques in studio glass. Emerging from northeastern Romania, Nemtoi developed his craft through formal training in Bucharest before returning to his hometown to establish his own studio in the 1990s. His choice was intentional, as the local sand provided ideal material for glassmaking, allowing him to refine a distinctive artistic voice. This vase reflects his signature approach. Unlike highly polished cased glass often seen in decorative wares, this example features a matte surface that softens the intensity of the red while enhancing its depth. The interplay of light through the form creates a glowing effect, emphasizing the thickness and layered quality of the glass. Its size also places it among the larger works in his production, adding to its visual impact. Nemtoi's work has gained international recognition, with pieces held in museum collections and even presented to institutions such as the Vatican and UNICEF, underscoring his standing in contemporary glass art.
This one is a matte finish, but this in a retail venue could sell for between $1,500 and $2,500.
Wow, okay. It's nice.
Good shopping.
Yeah.
Well, this is a vase that belonged to my Aunt Catherine on my father's side. She passed it on to her son, Jim, and he passed it on to me.
So what do you know about it?
Not much, other than when we inherited these items in the home, we were going through and packing them up so they wouldn't get damaged.
It is in the quiet details of an object that its true story begins to unfold, and this small vase offers exactly that kind of revelation. Marked Dom Nancy, it is in fact a finely crafted piece by Daum produced in Nancy around 1906 during the height of the Art Nouveau movement. Rather than a personal name, Daum identifies the renowned manufacturer, while Nancy denotes its place of origin. This example is a cabinet vase intended for close viewing, where detail and atmosphere take precedence over scale. Its surface is decorated in enamel with a continuous winter woodland scene featuring slender birch trees set against a softly rendered snowy landscape. Such imagery, less common than floral motifs, lends the piece a distinctive and contemplative character. The craftsmanship is evident not only in the delicate painting, but also in the harmonious form, which appears somewhat uncommon compared to more typical examples. This suggests a degree of artistic variation or limited production. The subdued palette and refined execution reflect the period's fascination with nature and mood key elements in Daum's design philosophy.
So it's absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
Dating-wise, we're going to say about circa 1906.
Okay.
At auction today, I would give this an estimate of $1,000 to $1,500.
Oh, awesome. Very cool.